There's always a reason why people commit fraud. This can be explained using what we refer to as the fraud triangle. It's a tripod of the reasons, highlighted reasons why people engage in fraud. Let's take the black triangle first. The first thing we consider in the fraud triangle is the pressure. When we say pressure, we are saying before people commit fraud, there is always a perceived pressure. I call it perceived because it is not necessarily a pressure that really exists. Sometimes the pressure just exists in the mind of the perpetrator. We say pressure because what? The perpetrator or the potential fraudster, let me say the potential fraudster must feel there is a pressure brewing up that he needs to attend to. Sometimes, and in most cases, he believes such pressures are unshareable. For an employee, for instance, now, who has a problem of repaying a loan he took from somewhere, because of the shame and what the societal opinion that might result from sharing it with people around, he might decide to internalize it and find a way all by himself. They usually believe the pressure is unshareable, that it must be dealt with alone. They believe the problem, in most cases, is impossible to resolve illegally. Take, for instance, somebody that borrowed money, like I said, from all these loan sharks that give huge interest rates. By the time he defaults and they said, okay, we'll come and take over your house, we'll come and sell your car and all that, he believes the only way is to quickly find another crook means to pay off the loan before they clamp down on him. These are pressures and perceived pressures. In most cases, the issue is related to an current external problem. That is, the issue is not actually in the context of the organization itself, is an imported pressure from outside, maybe family pressure, problem with a creditor, problem with the society, maybe there are expectations from home that you must fulfill, unresolved obligations that are fast resulting into a big mess for the potential fraudster. So in this case, he begins to look for a way to get himself out of mess. Also, in some cases, it is these perceived pressures or self-inflicted pressures, so to say, as a result of innate and existing vices, misdemeanor, habits of the perpetrator, like drugs, alcohol abuse, gambling, extramarital affair, living beyond one's means. Some people intentionally or without thinking twice put on themselves pressure that would have otherwise not existed. For instance, a person that has extramarital affairs and the side chick is requesting for so much that it now puts you in order to keep up with your reputation, you now put yourself under undue pressure that leads you into fraud. Take a gambler, for instance, as well, or somebody into excessive drug use, that this thing has now become what? Has become an habit, that it can't break away from. It doesn't mind going extra length to satisfy the urges of this habit and all that. Again, we can look at pressure in a second light. We can look at pressure as motivation. The leg called pressure here, we can call it motivation. What motivates a potential fraudster to go into fraud? If it is not pressure, this other side of it, we can refer to it as motivation. What actually motivated you? Some people, it's not actually any pressure from anywhere. It's just a desire sometimes, a desire to live above your means. Something motivated you. We'll be looking at motivation very well later. Then the second leg of it is of either pressure of motivation. The second leg of this pressure / motivation is what? Opportunity. When the pressure has brewed or you've you've been motivated to perpetrate fraud. Then the fraudster begin. The second leg is there must be an opportunity. If there's no opportunity, there's no fraud. If the internal control is 100% perfect, which is very rare, then there's no fraud. If you know you'll be caught, then there's no fraud. Then if there's anything at all, then maybe we'll be talking about armed robbery. That is, you just take it by force. Maybe, for instance, in a funny case where an employee just bring out gun out of his pocket and shoot up, give me the money, and runs away. That is not a fraud. That is a case of armed robbery. So with a fraud case, there must always be an opportunity. What is an opportunity? Is a perception of how to take the advantage of the system without being caught. Mark you, without being caught. So the intention to take an opportunity of a loophole, of an inadequacy in the system, it takes careful study of, okay, this is it. By this time, this man leaves his desk and the part of the sales money is always beside him. I can actually help myself with some of it. Or this is it. This man leaves his system open without passwording it. He goes for lunch. I can actually transfer some money to my account. I can actually do this. I can actually get this information from his desk. You can see how it's playing out now. For instance, in a, what's it called? In an organization like a bank, a commercial bank, for example, when you hear vote, it's under normal circumstances, according to the internal control of the organization, a single staff is not meant to enter the vault. That is not the cash officer alone, or the head of operations, or the operation manager is not allowed to enter single-handedly. You must go in two, maybe the cash officer and the head of operation. To what? To forestall fraud. To forestall a situation where what? Where somebody will just help himself with 3 bills or 5 bills or 10 bills or 20 bills of $100, because they usually have FX in the vault as well. That is foreign currency. So by the time you go in two, now, unless if there's now a collusion, and mind you, even inside the vault, another control system is there's always what? A camera, a CCTV camera that watches you. So for instance, now, if as a cash officer which works under an operation manager, the cash officer notices that the operation manager doesn't really mind if he goes, maybe he's busy, just say go and bring out cash. People need cash, they need cash on the counter, and he allows you to go all by yourself. The second leg is, you've now, the cash officer has already seen an opportunity. He allows me in all by myself. The second leg is, does the CCTV camera works? You will just find out from the, what's it called? What about the cameras ESF? Are you sure they are working? Just like a side conversation. You will find out from the IT guy for the branch. And say, all these things, they are just decoration. That one will just idly, without knowing the intention, say something like, all these things, they are not really working. Okay, he has got it. Are you sure? Come and help me check the one in the vault because we need it. And that one has spoiled. We need money. Maybe next month, maybe Kinikon. And he has been able to tally the opportunity. So he can do whatever and even resign and run away. So that is an opportunity. There must be an opportunity, a loophole to take advantage of a weak system. Then the third leg, as will be seen, is rationalization. Rationalization of the fraud. After the fraud, you can see the pressure is before the fraud. The opportunity is the active means to take up to execute the fraud. Then after the fraud itself, or even before you engage in the fraud, a fraudster normally has this rationalization, that is justification, like they are not paying me well. I'm just a contract staff here. They might even let me go next tomorrow, and they are making so much, but they are not paying well. So I have the right to take what belongs to me. Some people believe, oh, this thing belongs to us. Some people even believe, okay, because the owner of the business, you perceive that is a politician that you think stole money as well. You just think, what the heck? Maybe he stole the money, is our money. Okay, let me take my own too. I'm taking my share. So people have a whole lot of what's it called? Rationalization concepts that make them look good. I'm working so much in this organization. I deserve more. So let me help myself with more. If they are not paying me all by themselves, I will pay myself. So these are normal. So you must, as fraud examiner, you must know the way a fraudster think. A fraudster, right from the pressure level to the opportunity level and to the rationalization level, where it justifies his action. It's not justifying to you now, it's justifying to himself. And once a man can justify something to himself and take away the conscience part, it allows for repetition. He just keeps doing it because it becomes justifiable. That is, there's really nothing. I'm not doing anything wrong. Some will even say, this money I'm taking, I'm borrowing it. I'm not in themselves, they are saying to themselves, they are justifying, I'm borrowing, I will repay. They will take another tomorrow, I will repay everything. They will keep taking, and they actually know that such money is never being repaid, and it's not even right to start with. Once you start, you don't end it. You see, whenever there is a little financial pressure, you know there's somewhere to run to, a free money somewhere that is waiting for you. So one of the challenges of auditors is when, like for instance now, the internal control, which is like an internal auditor for a branch now. One of the challenges is that forestall them or that hinder them from preventing fraud, because it's part of their work to identify pressure. But they don't have, in most cases, you don't even know what is going on with this man at home. You don't know, maybe he has a drug problem. So, for instance, now, as an internal control person, if you know this guy has a drug problem, this guy has a womanizing problem, you can advise the management or HR, redeploy this guy from where he is exposed to cash, because people with such lifestyle can easily be prone to fraud. But you don't have such information. In some organizations, very well-structured organization, an internal control person can actually call you when he sees inconsistency in your personal life, not even in your career. Inconsistency. Maybe they've been hearing that you club a lot and all that. They can just call you. You won't know the reason. If you just try like a conversation, go around your personal life and see the level of, or they see that you are sad. You've been disturbed. You've been acting absent in the meeting. These are brewing pressure in international organizations, multinational. These are things they look into. They even go as far as checking your social media accounts to see, okay, what is his lifestyle? What does he engage in outside office? How does he use his time? Because what are the people? What category of people does he associate with? Because these are the things that can bring about pressure and lead the potential fraudster into seeking opportunity and rationalization of fraud. So what are we saying now? Pressure, opportunity, or rationalization are the three legs of fraud. We say pressure can also be seen as motivation, something that motivates you, something that motivates a person to want to commit fraud. So I want to take out the issue of motivation, and later I will still come back to this motivation and pressure. I will pair them with the two different type of fraudster that we have. We have the accidental fraudster, and we have the what? We have the predatory fraudster. That is like taken from the word predator. So we will pair them. The accidental fraudster is always lured into fraud by pressure, but an intentional fraudster, that's predatory fraudster, is a motivated fraudster. We'll be seeing that later as we go on in the coming classes. But first, let me go through the issue of motivation. Motivation, there is a word coined out for motivation. Motivation, like we said, is what motivates you to carry out the fraud. But there is this, what's it called, concept that was coined out to explain motivation. We call it MICE. What are the things that motivate people to commit fraud? What are the things? One is money. When people have this unquenchable love and desire for money, is a motivating factor. We're not really talking about pressure now, somebody that was pressured. We're talking about somebody that was motivated. This is just a case of what? An intentional fraudster, which we call what? A predatory fraudster. A predator, somebody that has actually actively, it's not like something is chasing him, he's actually chasing something. We have people like that. Once they get into the organization, their intention of coming is to come and defraud. Well, a typical example is some of our politicians. They go into office with one goal in mind: to steal. To steal. So what am I saying? I'm not saying it's cuts across broad of all politicians, but a good number of them, the intention is, I'm going there, I will eat and eat and eat until my tummy bursts. So money, when people have quantum desire for money, is a problem. The second is ideology. What ideology? When people have this ideology that I don't believe in tax, I don't want to pay tax, my business shouldn't pay tax, you will have to cook your books. Or like as an employee now, my ideology is they stole this money from us, I must steal my own from it. It's an ideology. It's already in the head of that person, that this is the way the society works and this is the way I should work. Sometimes fraud results from coercion. Maybe coercion from the owner of the business, your superior at work, that is, you will get fired, and you know you don't have security. This man can fire you anytime. If you have access to cash, you can easily make away with some and stack it somewhere, waiting for the day he will exit you from the organization. Then the third is the ego. Some people just have this inflated view of themselves, inflated view of their intelligence, like I can get away with it. Some people will even tell you, do you know I can, they will tell themselves or tell somebody close to them that, you know, I can hack this system. Do you know there are loopholes in this system, and they will never find out. They take it as fun, like an intelligence, it's to prove their intelligence. This is the Mice theory of what are the things that motivate fraudsters. And don't forget, I said when we are talking about motivation, we are mostly talking about an intentional fraudster. As will be seen in the two different types of fraudster in the later class, we have what? We have the accidental fraudster, an unintentional fraudster. Something led him, mostly pressure. Is most of the time they are first-time fraudster. Then we have what? The intentional fraudster, which we call the predatory fraudster. These are predators. They are like lions. They smell blood, they go after it. So that is all about fraudsters and the reason why people commit fraud. We'll be seeing a case study in the next class, and we'll take it up from there.